en bijdrage leveren aan die vooruitgang.
Could the modern movement, could the modern project be of any meaning to us today? And if so, what? And could you talk about preservation of the buildings from the pre-war period? I first have to go back in history, because the modern project, and that is the most important thing, is not a style. It is a way of thinking. And one of the protagonists of this way of thinking, of trying to make a new, fair society for all, not for elite, but for all, was Gerrit Rietveld. And as you can see here in this picture, he indeed introduced a completely new way of thinking. Look at the urban setting, look at the spatial arrangement, look at the way the functional arrangement is done. You know the building well, but this is something completely different from what traditionally the middle classes and the elite would live in. What these people tried to do in architecture is to use as little things as possible to gain as much as possible. Do more with less. And that you can see here in a beautiful way. They try to bring existence down to the absolute minimum, the existence minimum. The idea that why should you have more if you need less? After the war, because of the rebuilding of society and because the goal was there to create this welfare state, rationality took over. So therefore, you know, standardization, industrialization, separation of functions became a very important item of the whole way of thinking. So when the modernists at the beginning of the 20th century threw away the past, at the end of the 20th century, we threw away the belief in the future. So what was left is just the present. Let me introduce you here to Roger Innes. Roger is a very promising casting director, and this, what you see here, is his office. From here, he works with his clients in Los Angeles, in New York, in London, in Paris, in Milan, and he runs it from here. He is not participating in a mass culture any longer. He's participating in his own culture. He's creating his own culture with an enormous variety of different networks, a myriad of different networks. But if you think about the environmental situation we're in, if you think about the financial situation we're in, if you think about the social problem we're in, if you think about all these things, isn't it about time that we change our belief and our habit systems, like our predecessors did in the early 20th century? And I'm not saying that we should copy them, not at all. We should invent a new way of modernity. That's why Kenneth Frampton called it the modern project. It is an ongoing thing. It is not stopping, it's a way of thinking. Their search to find a balance between individual desire and collective interest. I think that's number one. If you can learn anything from Rietveld, this is it. And then the last bit you can learn from these people, I would think, is that architecture is not primarily about aesthetics, it's about ethics. It's about the intangible qualities. It is about tolerance. It is about, you know, the whole range, transparency, care, sustainability, all these sort of things. That is what architecture is about. And then I agree with people like Rietveld and people like Duiker that beauty will follow, because that is what beauty is all about. Basically, we need more than only the short term. We need to regain the idea of the longer term so that we can invest in the future again, that we believe in the future again, that there starts a new situation of hope and optimism. And that's why I was very pleased to have kind of Frampton's examples before my speech, because there you could see what architecture could do to create a better world for the future.
En prachtig mooi verhaal waarvan ik denk dat alle jonge architecten die vandaag ook in grote getalen aanwezig zijn, echt helemaal geenthousiasmeerd mee naar huis gingen van, zie je wel, het bestaat wel. Je bent niet de slaaf van de consumentenmarkt. Je bent echt iemand die het verschil kan maken in de samenleving. De derde presentatie die we vandaag hadden was van Hubert Klumpner. Dat is een Oostenrijkse architect van origine. Hij is afgestudeerd ook in New York aan de Columbia University en is daarna met een collega, Alfredo Brillenburg, gaan werken in de slums van Caracas. In Spaanstalige Latijns-Amerikanen wordt dat barrios genoemd. En hun idee van dat soort van wijken, hè, want dat zijn het eigenlijk, is volkomen radicaal anders dan hoe de politiek of hoe de projectontwikkelaars daar naar kijken. Die kijken naar achterstandswijken, naar slums, hè, naar krottenwijken, als een plek die je schoon moet vegen, waar je nieuwe dingen moet bouwen. Zij daarna kijkend hebben gezegd van, die wijken zijn eigenlijk broodnodig. Dat zijn ook hele goed functionerende economische en sociale systemen. In Caracas is dat de plek waar migranten die uit de buurlanden, maar ook vanuit het platteland komen in de stad, de enige betaalbare plek kunnen vinden om te wonen en ook de mogelijkheid om hun eigen bedrijfjes te beginnen, et cetera. Waar zij begonnen zijn is te kijken van, hoe functioneert dat? Hoe functioneert zo'n gemeenschap van in feite allemaal arme mensen? Die moeten proberen het hoofd boven water te houden. En zou je nou met je ontwerp net het verschil kunnen maken waardoor dat een klein beetje makkelijker wordt en dat beter gaat functioneren? Dus als je overlast hebt van jongens die zich daar vervelen en die met elkaar vechten, kun je dan, terwijl er eigenlijk helemaal geen ruimte is, toch zorgen dat ze kunnen sporten. Daar komt een idee van de verticale sporthal vandaan, die gewoon bestaat uit 5 lagen boven elkaar op een heel kleine oppervlakte, wat een ontmoetingsplek wordt voor jongeren. Nou, zo zijn er allerlei voorbeelden. Vanuit die filosofie zijn ze ook gaan kijken naar Hoograven. En we zeggen, ja, wat is er nou verkeerd aan Hoograven? Wat is er nou verkeerd? Ik bedoel, zijn die mensen verkeerd? Nee, natuurlijk zijn die mensen niet verkeerd. Die mensen hebben daar een bestaan opgebouwd. Wat wel is, dat die woningen inmiddels toch wel heel dringend aan verbetering toe zijn. En misschien moet je ook wel nadenken, hoe kan ik ze ook echt beter maken? En dan is de oplossing niet slopen en nieuw bouwen, want dan worden ze te duur en dan kunnen de mensen die er nu wonen er niet in terugkeren. Dus ze hebben vandaag ideeën gepresenteerd hoe je met voor een deel prefab elementen aan de bestaande structuren, aan de portiekwoningen die er zijn, dingen kunt toevoegen, waardoor je de ellendige portieken kunt weghalen en aan de achterkant via galerijen nieuwe toegangen kunt bouwen, waardoor je de keuken buiten de woning kunt plaatsen, waardoor er meer ruimte in de woning ontstaat en waardoor je dus kunt inspelen op de bestaande gemeenschap die er is, waarvoor je zorgt dat er comfortabeler huizen komen met meer ruimte en ook dat je niet 4 trappen op hoeft om de bovenste verdieping te komen als je wat ouder wordt, maar gewoon met de lift kunt gaan. Intelligente oplossingen, kleine interventies die wat bestaat net beter maken.
Alfredo Brillenburg and myself, we have become sort of frequent guests here in Hoograven on the basis of the invitations by Utrecht Manifest by Harm Shelton over the last 4, 5, 6 years. We have worked with different groups of students with our office here in Hoograven, and I will give a very quick run through at the beginning through some of the aspects, some of our findings. And retrofitting in general terms means actually the replacing and adding of equipment to an existing object. That could be anything. In our case, let's say it's a city, it's a building, it's public space, whatever you want to choose, to improve efficiency, quality, to extend the lifespan while decreasing negative impacts. So Hoograven in itself, and this is why it is so interesting to us, represents actually on a very small scale the idea of Holland. It has these infrastructures, but it has also all those families, those building typologies from the early industry, housing typologies from all the new Hoograven, from the early, let's say, from the typologies, row houses, modernist villas, etc. And that is very important, it has all the social conditions as well. So again, here we have the Diepmanhof and the Riemannhof, the Robijnhof in the north, already restored. And we're concentrating for this probe, for this presentation, on only, let's say, an L situation of it, which could be, for instance, this one here, just as a reference for you to follow up on, where we go a little bit more into detail. You see those apartments, there's actually a duplex situation on the ground floor and the first floor. The buildings have 5 floors. And what we were thinking about was to actually add, in the spirit of retrofitting, not much more than an elevator. The buildings, as you heard, have 5 floors. We're thinking to adding 1 lightweight startup apartment, lots of small units, lots of circulation, to add elevators. But if you would add an elevator to each staircase, the whole thing would become pretty expensive. So we thought maybe we can build only 1 elevator, and we extend that elevator because we put it freestanding. We put all the services with that 1 elevator, an extra stair, a trash chute, the post boxes, a storage space for your children cars, bicycles, etc. And you service with 1 elevator, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 staircases. You could add another one here, and so forth and so forth. But now let's look a little bit closer in this corner from that side. This looks today like this. And we could imagine that we have here this freestanding elevator, 1 single elevator with the possibility to add another one, spatially. A stair, because obviously the internal stairs would still exist for escape reasons, but with the elevator you would need an additional stair. We suggest here very simple, straightforward, Dutch steep scissor stair, and along with it, as I said, trash chutes. The trash would actually go in where the elevator pit is. We would foresee an underground trash collection situation, because otherwise we would jam up the ground floor too much. And we are proposing those alleyways and those additional rooms. And what are we putting inside those additional rooms? We even thought that we could make some of those units freestanding. They could continue in other neighborhoods as startup apartments, because it's actually the room with the bathroom. And here are some quick ideas for the in-between spaces that could also be hard surface, programmed, etc. And and we could not only make it here, we're not only thinking about the Rietveld situation, but also Ode Gerlan and others. Maybe we could make a systematic approach how to densify Hoograven. Thank you.
Dat was vandaag dus op de 3 niveaus. Eigenlijk wereldwijd nadenkend over wat is de rol van de architect. Toespitsend op wat is de toekomst van de modernistische gebouwen en moeten we die inderdaad bewaren voor de toekomst en waarom moeten we dat en wat is de rol van de architect. Naar hoe kun je heel concreet op een plek in de wereld, op 1 stukje van Utrecht, met hele praktische oplossingen komen die de architectuur van net na de oorlog een nieuwe toekomst geven in de 21e eeuw. Ja, dat was de opzet van vandaag. Ik denk dat we daar heel aardig in geslaagd zijn om het vorm te geven. En dit past dus in die bredere beweging van Utrecht Manifest, die wil nadenken over de vraag: wat is de rol van de ontwerper en van het ontwerp in de 21e eeuw?